Okay, there we go. So first off, again, thank you for doing this interview with me and the Women's International Music Network.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
You celebrated it yesterday.
Yesterday. Yeah, well, it's technically my birthday was yesterday, so it's 10/10. Yeah, 10/10/83 for those of you doing the math.
Right, because I read your blog and you went ahead and shared with everybody that you just turned 36.
Absolutely.
You've been doing music for
22 years now. Yeah.
Because you released your first EP with your brother in 99. So it's like the 20th anniversary.
Pretty much. It's really weird. It's like my brother and I have been this whole year have been like really digging into like, do you remember, when we were playing like the back of the bowling alley because they would pay us in free pizza and it would be a place to play, that kind of stuff. So, summer of 97, actually specifically August 9th, 1997, we had our first show as Halestorm and we literally haven't looked back since. So yeah.
Yeah,
fine line between obsession
and that's the best name ever. Even though it combines your actual name, but you really are a storm to be reckoned with.
Yeah, that's right? Why I always say like bands end up making their name. Like it's like there's certain, because finding a band name is hard anyway. And literally we did it as a whim because of our last name. And on the way to the first gig. My little brother in his 10-year-old wisdom was like, Lzzy, we can't go up as Lzzy and RJ. And I'm like, why not? Because he's like little brother. I'm like, just shut up, And finally he kept harping on, I'm like, oh fine, what do you want to call it? So we did a couple things, and finally we settled on Halestorm. I'm like, that'll work for today. Not planning on doing this the rest of our lives, but we introed ourselves as Halestorm, and
the rest is history.
Yeah, we're still doing
and didn't you play with didn't your father play with you in the beginning? So you were almost like the Partridge Family of the late 90s.
Pretty much. That lasted a good white hot second. My brother and I were kind of white striping it up, to begin with. It was just my brother and I, and so like I'd write these songs, and then he would like fill up the space with drums, and was basically how we did things. And then we're like, duh, Dad plays bass, we should have him in the band. It'll be like, whatever. It's like Spinal Tap meets Hanson or something weird, And you can quote me on that. But and then, over the course of like a summer or two, it's like, Dad's cool. And then all of a sudden, like, you become like a 15-year-old. You're like, Dad's not cool anymore. Like, we gotta like tell Dad that we're gonna like try to find other members, so we had to sit Dad down. And we're like, oh, Dad, we love you so much, but we're gonna look for people our own age. And he's like kind of bummed, and like, but Dad, we're like still, we can't drive ourselves to the gigs, so you're still gonna,
because you're still underage.
Yeah, you're still gonna drive us to the gigs, and we actually ended up long into our early 20s. We ended up hiring our parents on, and we took them out on tour with us for the first album cycle. Let them live it a little bit, and it was just it was a good time. It really was.
That is so beautiful that your parents not only supported you, but were a key part in the growth of the band.
Oh, absolutely. Because my parents weren't rich by any means. We lived on a 20-acre farm. My dad was a third shift mechanic. My mom stayed at home. It was like one of those things. But when we would have these like ideas, and when they kind of saw that we weren't gonna not be in a band, it's like, okay, what can we do? Can we help in any way? And the way that my parents were, and it was so funny because I look at it now, because I'm an adult now, and I look at my parents, I'm like, you guys were crazy. But really, if they hadn't been so willing to like follow us down the rabbit hole, we would have probably never started. If they had been like those normal parents, like, no, you should go to college, you should find another career, then maybe do this as a hobby, see what you can do. No, they were like all in, like, hey, like, I'll call some malls for you, I'll do whatever. Like, my mom was like helping us book and stuff, and my dad, like, every time we had some weird idea, like, my brother was like, I want to have a rotating upside down drum kit. And my dad's like, instead of my dad being like, well, that's dangerous and impossible, they're like, let's see if we can do it. So we took a tractor axle and these steel beam things in our barn, and old Ford seat belts and Velcro, and we bolted a kit onto this like steel platform, right? My dad's pretty handy. And it was all manual. It went counterclockwise. We strapped him in and let him fly, and RJ, being RJ, could always play even if he was upside down. So that was how we got on the front page of our local paper. That was
my God. And when was that?
So 98, actually, we started doing that. Yeah.
You were just rock stars from the beginning.
We were little kids, but we had big ideas, but we didn't know what we were doing. Like, I knew a handful of chords, and I knew that I could kind of like say some stuff and sing a little bit. And,
yeah.
And RJ could always play, so it was just like, yeah, let's just see how far we can take it. And we're still seeing how far we can take it.
Speaking of which, because physical stunts and all that, let's jump ahead to your latest video, Vicious.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That was awesome, and I would love to talk to you about that because I'm a martial artist myself.
Oh, nice.
In fact, the Girls Rock Sacramento camp that's here in town, awesome. I teach the martial arts and self-awareness to the teens,
my God,
right?
That's awesome. You would have been very helpful.
I'm watching the video, and it's a total story from beginning to end. You have to watch it because you'll teach. For those who didn't see it, anyhow. So
those of you in the
did you have to train, or did they just teach you moves specifically for the video?
They did moves specifically for the video because we had just gotten off tour and had to kind of go in and do this. So it was literally it was within a day. While we're filming, in between things, they had a bunch of these stunt people basically that were showing me how to position myself and how to make it look real without actually hurting somebody.
Yes.
Which I did end up kicking one of the guys with my high heels accidentally. I was supposed to be pretending. But I'm not a good liar. And I just got a little too close. I didn't hit my mark, and I just hear this, ow. I'm like,
he's trying to keep it in.
Yeah, but they were so nice, and they just absolutely made me look good, and
you looked amazing.
But it's funny because I'm like, man, just in a couple hours, I take direction pretty well, and I'm like, man, I should really get into this. Maybe this could be a thing. So you never know if you see me kicking ass somewhere.
I'm telling you though, that whole thing I was like, oh, this looks like a story. Oh, this looks good. And the first time I saw it, amazing.
Thank you.
So good to know you did your own stunts and you worked it out.
I always say yes to adventure first before I really know what it entails, and then I'm like, well, I committed. Let's see.
There it is.
And
and also congratulations, because you are a recipient for our 2020 She Rocks Awards.
Isn't that crazy? Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Seriously,
so what does that mean to you?
To me, it's odd because I'm this dork from Pennsylvania that was, when I was 11 and brought a Alice Cooper CD to a slumber party, I found out I was not like the other girls, and it was just, I've never been cool, and I've had to literally build this thing and keep this thing going, and this is my baby, this is my legacy, this is what I want to do with my life. So to be honored amongst peers and amongst women who understand, some of those very different situations that you have to put yourself in order to make it, and in order to make something happen, or the things that you have to stand up against, or maybe the things that you have to lose because you have standards and can't sell your soul so much just for the sake of having a hit song or something like that. So the fact that only us as women really understand what that takes, to be honored like that, it means the absolute world to me, so it's just the most amazing thing. So thank you.
You're very welcome. And leading into that, because you've been doing music for over 20 years, have you seen what have you seen personally, the difference for women in music now? Because you inspire women to front a band, play guitar, and just be unapologetically yourself. Have you seen a progression or a change since when you were first doing it to now?
Oh, absolutely. Just in a short amount of time, there's been a huge wave of women and also young women that have been raised correctly, as in, encouraged to. I guess I should summarize it with in my personal experience, nothing good has ever come from me either doing something that somebody wants me to do just for the sake that I'm a girl, or by taking the advice of somebody that's like, well, women in rock aren't really a thing, and so you shouldn't necessarily pursue that. Maybe you should pursue something else that's an easier task. Nothing good has ever come from listening to those people. So the only good things that have ever come from those things is when it is presented in front of you and then you say, well, that's ridiculous, I'm doing it anyway. So to forge your own path has been such a huge tool in my arsenal to get through those things. And so in my personal experience, I went from, in the beginning, you're carrying in your equipment. It's as innocent as this. You're carrying in your equipment to every show and you're setting up your stuff. And without fail, every single time that we would have a gig, either somebody would be like, oh, that's so nice of you, my girlfriend doesn't do that for me, as in assuming that I'm just carrying in my boyfriend's equipment. Or the merch is going to be set up over there, as in just assuming that I'm the merch girl and I'm not in the band. Now, my weapon in that would be, I'm not going to get upset over those things, but I'm going to get up on stage after these people are just assuming that I'm just a girl here watching their boyfriend's band. I'm going to get up on stage, I'm going to lay waste to the place. So in a lot of ways I used that as my own internal fuel. So then you take it to the next level where you are shopping to labels. Maybe you do have a fan base that you've grown on your own and you've done all these things, and you have people saying, well, if you want to be attractive to a label, you have to dress in a certain way, you have to have a certain song, you have to have a certain look, all these things. You have to, maybe you're too old, maybe you're too young, maybe you shouldn't be talking about these subjects in your songs, those kind of things, right? And then there are the people that actually come and see you at those labels and they say, well, we love what you do, you guys are consistent, but we can't sell you as a girl. And or we already have that slot filled. So
and how long ago was this going on?
This was only about less than 10 years ago, maybe 10 years ago that was going on.
Still going on.
Still going on. And really? It is still going on. But like I said, you kind of take each of those tiers, and now at this point in time in my career, I have literally, like I said, I've taken all of those things that could have potentially steered me down the wrong path. But because I said, well, absolutely not, I'm going to do what I want to do and I'm going to say what I want to say. I'm not going to be, an asshole about it, but I'm going to go about what I want to do. And by doing that, I've almost created this empire purely that has this beautiful mission statement where everybody stands up for themselves and everybody stands up for each other, and it's okay to be weird and it's okay to be different, and it's okay. And I can trace all of those songs like Freak Like Me, I Am the Fire, Amen, all of those things that I feel passionately about, I can trace it back to those moments. So in a lot of ways, you're the sum of both those dark things and the light things. But it's just so amazing to see all of these girls, especially at the live shows. It's completely flipped on its head. It's used to be like 60-40 male-female. Now it's 60-40 female-male that come to the rock shows, and they're owning this music, and they're all these girls that are like me, that are like, screw it, this is my thing. And it's so beautiful to see. And I haven't been asked if I'm the merch girl for a long time.
About darn right. Time. And you even touched on the light and dark days, because your blog before that touched on that.
Oh, yeah.
Because you had released a song, it was the B-side, Chemicals,
yes.
Just earlier this year. And because and this is Mental Health Awareness Month.
It is.
And today is National Coming Out Day.
Oh my gosh.
So it's
amazing.
like all these things where it's shining a light on bringing things to the surface, encouraging people to talk about it, and it not Absolutely. Being a weakness. It's just a part of who you are and how you work through it. Is Absolutely. That what inspired the song?
Absolutely. And the thing is that the more I would talk about it, the more it was 99% of the people that I would talk to have been touched in some way, whether they have their own darkness, because everybody does. Everybody does in some form or some spectrum have something going on in their life that they are struggling with, whether that means internally or it's somebody that they know. So the more that I found out that I'm like, oh, this is not for a small group of people that are weirdos or that have to go to, therapy, and oh no, there's all those connotations that go along with that. Like, oh, if you have to see a therapist, that means you're crazy, or they call them shrinks. Like, oh no, I don't have to see a shrink because that would mean I'm crazy. No, well, all you're doing is taking care of you, and it's like we go to dentists for our teeth, and why don't we go to somebody that's able to help us figure those things out? And the more that I realized how many people were exactly like me, I'm like, why is this so hard to talk about? This should be as easy as talking about it, like, hey man, like I've had this problem with my back and I went to go see a chiropractor and they fixed me up, and I've seen it happen. Like, I've gone to see people, so have my little brother, and like we talk about that all the time. We're like, yeah, like maybe some of these thoughts are like white noise, but then you get it down or you talk with somebody and all of a sudden it's like, oh, why was I so crazy about that? That's actually like, thank you for clearing that up. So I don't know. For me, the more that I can kind of spread that out and let people know that like it's not just them, it's everybody, it's all of us, we gotta like stick together, man. It's like life is too hard and too short to like keep it to yourself. It's like we gotta,
See, and that's why you inspire people, and not just women. So in wrapping this up, and this is how many times have you done Aftershock? actually. It's like your third time?
I think either third or fourth. Yeah.
Which is awesome. I love it because I live out here. So
it's like a family reunion.
Right?
Here,
so how would you like to be remembered?
Oh, wow.
As you get into your unadulting old age.
Right. Right. My unadulting old age. Exactly. I like that a lot. Oh, I'm going to steal that. But I think I'd like to be remembered as someone who really, I'd like to be remembered as my best self, which when I'm on stage, I am unapologetically me. I'm not afraid to talk to anybody. I'm not afraid to show anybody all of the aspects of who I am. I'm not afraid to be loud. I'm not afraid to show the fact that I can do this crazy Halford scream, but also like be very like sweet and clear. But more so than the music, I think that I want to be remembered for for the connection, that because I love people and I love the fact that this music is just so much more than a career choice for me. Like I stumbled into that, and that's been such a perk of all the hard work that we've had. But it's just this universal language that I'm able to spread all over the world, and you're able to just connect with these people that you would have never met and never like all corners of the world, and girls, guys alike. And I think that if I can die and have touched as many people in a positive way as possible, I'll be okay with that.
I love it. Lzzy Hale, Halestorm, Aftershock 2019. Thank you so much for this interview.
Thanks for having me.